One summer's day, Mr. Josiah Oldcastle received a letter. It asked him if he would take some children to a fancy dress competition at the annual show that very afternoon. "Come on, Horace," called Mr. Oldcastle. "We must polish Gumdrop first." Mr. Oldcastle washed the car and polished it until it shone. Next, he lifted the bonnet and polished the carburettor, the dynamo, the magneto, that all helped the vintage car to go. Finally, he unscrewed the horn and polished that. Just then, a purple van stopped outside and a man got out. "Goth Jones is the name," he said. He pointed at Gumdrop. "I'll buy that old scrap heap on wheels from you." A scrap heap! Mr. Oldcastle was furious. "My car is not for sale, and I'm in a hurry. Good day." He turned and went into the house. When he came out again, Goth Jones had gone. Mr. Oldcastle swung the starting handle, but nothing happened. Gumdrop wouldn't start. The magneto had broken, and the children would miss the show. Mr. Puddafat was passing with two great Shire horses. "If you give me a tow, the engine will start," shouted Mr. Oldcastle. The horses, Thunder and Thumper, easily pulled Gumdrop and started the engine. "Thank you," said Mr. Oldcastle. Mr. Puddafat looked miserable. "My brass lamps are missing. There must be a thief around," he said. Mr. Oldcastle prepared to drive off to pick up the children, and reached for the horn, but it wasn't there. There was a thief about. "I know the thief. It's Goth Jones in his purple van." "After him!" Mr. Puddafat shouted, and they drove off in pursuit. Round the next bend, they were stopped by a beautiful Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost. The owner, Colonel Sir Horatio Fotheringay Bassington, looked very miserable. "The silver lady from my radiator is missing," he said. "We're chasing the thief," said Mr. Oldcastle. "After him!" the Colonel commanded, and drove off. Suddenly, a little way ahead, was the purple van. Goth Jones had panicked and run into a field. Then came Balthazar the bull to chase him out again. Then came Horace, Mr. Oldcastle, and the others. But Goth Jones got back to his van and drove off. But Balthazar had landed in Gumdrop's back seat and got stuck. And then Gumdrop's engine stopped. "Push start!" shouted Mr. Oldcastle. The others did so, leaving Balthazar stuck in the back. But where was Horace? "Chasing the thief," said Mr. Puddafat. "After him," growled Mr. Oldcastle, and drove on. Gumdrop was in double trouble now. As they reached Amersham, they saw the children and the purple van. "Quick! We're after a thief!" shouted Mr. Oldcastle. The children jumped in. They didn't mind Balthazar. He was asleep. They caught the van at the entrance. Goth Jones drove straight in, and the others chased the van round the ring. The people thought it was a pretend chase and cheered. When they dashed out again, Gumdrop's engine spluttered and stopped. The magneto had finally broken down. Gumdrop was in real trouble. "Catch that van!" roared the Colonel, which had had to stop because of the crowds. Goth Jones jumped out, and they all chased him, including Balthazar. He had managed to clamber out of Gumdrop. He recognized Goth Jones and roared. The thief was terrified. He turned and fled straight into the arms of a large policeman. They searched the van, and the Colonel found his silver lady, Mr. Puddafat found his lamps, but Mr. Oldcastle found nothing. No horn and no magneto now. Gumdrop was in treble trouble. Then he heard a familiar bark. It was Horace. There he was with the brass horn in his paws. He'd found it in the purple van and brought it straight back. Mr. Oldcastle was delighted. "I gather your vehicle is having magneto trouble," said the Colonel. "I have a brand new spare one in my car. You shall have it as a gift for your valiant efforts." They all said they would help to fix it, and Horace went and fetched a spanner. When the job was done, Mr. Oldcastle switched on and swung the starting handle. Gumdrop's engine started at once. Mr. Oldcastle thanked everybody. As they drove off, Horace gave a happy bark, and Mr. Oldcastle honked the horn. Gumdrop's troubles were over.